think we're almost done, man. This is gonna be good. Let's see. Yeah. Testing. Testing. Okay. Take your time. Cool.
Texting with my supervisor.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, he can't attend
Okay.
this lecture because there's another conference here in Košice.
Okay.
And he got a lot of responsibilities. But he would like to meet you maybe afternoon, or
Sure.
we can have a beer together.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But he's really interested.
Awesome.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, so this works. It's live on YouTube right now, so everything's working. But if you want, we can go for a coffee or just relax.
Yes, we have a really good cafeteria here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'll close it here.
Let me make sure I don't have any Facebook messages in the window. Okay, so I'm just going to take off the microphone. So.
I'm going to. I forgot the word. Obuca. Shoes. Obuć. This word. To put shoes. How do we say it in English?
To put on shoes.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on shoes.
Okay.
And I will be right back.
Sure. Yeah, right. Okay.
Môžem otvoriť im zasedačku, či tu máš veci? Lebo pozerám, že tu máš nachystané. Dobre, takže mám povedať, že vidím. Dobre. Dobre, okej. Dobrý večer.
Je. Się nazywa
Tunet jest.
Tunet Guest, tak.
Tunet.
Tunec?
TUKE jest, myślę, że to Tunet jest. A to jest to. Tu to nowe jest.
Masz takie romansy? Tak? Możesz
Nie, to ja to masz.
No,
Mało szybko tam. Akcjowy, były na ten, to tylko zażądałem.
ja mam nasz zjedzamy innego druhu. To on taki jako nachrabny.
Jak se máte? Dobry? Perfekt.
Jest na tu tak dobry.
Super. Veľmi rád, že to by ste prišli s nimi.
No,
Ďakujem veľmi. Ďakujem pekne.
treba podporiť našeho človeka.
Tak je.
A ty Slovenko alebo si tu náš Rusnak, lebo ja keď ťa registroval na americkej stranici, tak ty si tam vystupoval za Lenku.
To bylo tak, můj dík byl z Polšti, z Sanoka i jiné díkové z Mezináborc, na Slovensko i turisty Koledoči. Tak. To znaczy Lemky, Rusyn, tak.
Tak, my sme jeden národ, len
Tak.
tým, že sme úplne Poľsko rozdelili, tak tým pádom sa stali dva.
Tak.
Ja żył do Poля, rusínskej buditeľ, Aleksandr Duchnovič u nás narodil.
A tak s nimi.
Nesmí,
Na polská hranica.
Na polskiej granicy.
Ukrajinsko-polská hranica.
Tak.
Do Poля.
Ta Polia, on tam się narodził.
No.
Duchnowicz.
Duchnovič.
Buditeľ.
Buditeľ na 1103 roku, 1803. Bol jeden zo zakladateľov Matici Slovenskej.
Aha. Wow. Ja som neznal tego. Super.
Ale skoro pomerł, ale to w 1863 roku.
Dobrý deň. Ja vám. Dobrý deň, dobrý.
Dobrý den. Tak. O,
Wi-Fi.
super.
Ale
A Wi-Fi. Tak, nalewo. A tu.
aha,
We should connect to the projector too, I think.
no,
Czekaj.
ale tylko,
Tu netguest, o tu. Tak,
aha,
wypowiedź.
okej,
Ma być.
okej.
O,
A díky.
We have HDMI cable here.
okay.
We use that computer. Can you have PPTX? I can use my computer.
Yeah, I wanted to show them the translator too, so that would be on.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I can see the PPTX. Okay.
yeah.
And can I use your computer too for the translator?
Yes.
Cool. Perfect. Perfect.
Ja i tak si vás nájdem.
Okay. So, Gmail?
Can we eat in English, right?
Of course. Yeah, I'll do the whole thing in English. And if there's questions, you can help me translate, yeah? It's the English at the bottom. And a browser window, if you don't mind. Yeah. Rusinator.
To pronounce that R, not R, but Rusyn. To learn that sound.
You know what?
R
Yeah,
sound.
it's really hard for America. Yeah, in America we like R, R, R. Should be like R, right? They tried to teach us in Spanish class. Nice dark mode.
Okay.
No, volávaju ju, že znajú o tom spriete. Doma ešte. Dobrý, doma. Hej, dobrý, potom ti poviem čau.
Use this arrows now.
Okay,
Backwards and forwards here.
okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. One minute.
Yeah, sure. So do you think I should do the presentation first and then the slides with the info and then the discussion, or presentation, discussion, and then slides?
It should be like, I don't know, for 30-40 minutes
Okay.
plus discussion.
Oh,
To-
plus
to one.
discussion.
To 1 hour.
Oh, okay, up to 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we've got,
It should be like that. Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Hello everyone. Today's topic is about low resource languages and about endangered languages using artificial intelligence. It's a great honor to introduce and welcome Peter Ornich from Washington DC, from the United States. He's a AI engineer and linguist, and he was also working for Google for Google Translate project. Thank you very much for coming. Stage is yours.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation, for having me here. It's wonderful to be here in Košice, which is the part of the world that my family is from. And it's just great to be back in Slovakia finally after so long. I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Petr Orenic. I was born near Washington, D.C. My family was originally from Slovakia and Poland. They were Rusyns, Lemkos, and we lost the language, unfortunately, our community in the United States, and now we're trying to revitalize it. Friends in Slovakia and not knowing Rusyn, the language, and I felt like I couldn't connect with people like the way I wanted. And if I could create AI to do this, it would be a revolution for me personally, and I hope for the wider community. And today I'm here to share that with you. That revolution is here. Now, everyone here, I think, knows why this is important. We're in Košice. We're in an area with a lot of regional and indigenous languages. Hungarian is a big minority language here. Rusyn is a big minority language here. Romani is a big minority language here. This area is a very important place for the revitalization of endangered and indigenous languages. So I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak. But for those of us, there's an interesting argument, which is life is hard enough. You go to the United States to work, you learn English, your kids learn English. Why make your life harder by trying to keep a small regional language alive in your home when you're working in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like Andy Warhol's parents were. Andy Warhol was from this area. So, and Andy Warhol's family, I believe, did not keep the language. And I get that argument, that part of being an adult, part of adulting, as millennials will say, is speaking the language of the country you're in. That's true. You're in England. Your life is going to be better and more comfortable if you speak English. However, the idea I'd like to propose today, that I'm sure is not a surprise to anyone here, is that your life is going to get a lot worse if you lose your indigenous language. If you switch from Rusyn to English or Slovak and you forget Rusyn, the community is going to suffer. There's going to be consequences, and these consequences are very well documented by the science. The science is very clear here that if you lose your heritage language, there's going to be pain. What's interesting about human life is we're kind of motivated by two forces, pain and pleasure. And I'm here to start off with the pain that we can avoid by keeping our language if we speak it, or by learning it if we don't speak it. So without further ado, we'll do the pain before the gain. So we always see that when there's a problem between generations, when the transmission of knowledge and information is disrupted, you're going to have lots of social problems. And language is going to be a symptom of that. The language is going to be lost. But it can also be a cause, which is a new idea I'll propose to you. Every 3 months, according to some estimates, a language is lost. So this problem is quite urgent and quite widespread. When they say the language is lost, that means there's no more speakers of it. It's dead, like Latin. So this problem is very urgent and very widespread. That was an estimate by in 2022. There's about 6,000 odd languages in the world, so we're losing them at a rapid pace. I don't want to be alarmist, though. You know, it's not the end of the world, but it is compounding challenges everyone faces. By the way, at the top, I translated this into Rusyn, which is the local language we're revitalizing, using my artificial intelligence. So I just want to show that we can use these tools to revitalize the language here. This is already into Rusyn from English, using the tool I'm going to show you guys. So let's talk about language loss and community health. We can talk about feelings and subjective stuff. However, what I like about medical documentation is it's very black and white, very numbers-based. You can't fake this data. So these are real studies by real doctors, by real statisticians that we're going to be discussing today. The first is the use of illicit substances. And a lot of studies have shown that when language transmission is broken, that when people are not speaking their heritage language, the use of illegal substances goes up. And this is very well documented. So people who think, for example, in America, that they're giving their children an advantage by only teaching them English might want to reconsider that, because when the children lose the language, they're also going to be more at risk for the use of illegal drug use, illegal substance use. Next, which is interesting, is diabetes, which is a disease where the levels of blood sugar are too high because the insulin levels are non-existent or too low. And interestingly, there's a very strong tie between diabetes incidence and language loss. The mechanism would be very interesting. An obvious theory I've heard is that it has something to do with cooking, that people lose their traditional recipes and switch to diets that put them at greater risk for metabolic illness. However, the most interesting theory I've heard in this study is that when a person feels excluded from their community, the body creates an inflammatory process that is very, very damaging to the metabolic system. And that there's actually a physical problem in the body that can happen when the language is lost. This is pretty well documented science and a very interesting phenomenon that needs to be explored more. To make a long story short, this is not all just in your head. These are real processes in the body that happen when languages are lost. Possibly. Binge drinking and alcohol use disorder. A lot of studies, young people who live in places where the language is lost report binge drinking more. We're in a part of the world where this is also a public health issue that's well known and pretty well documented. So I think this is an important issue for this part of the world, the tie between alcohol use disorder and language loss. And what I would propose is there's a direct link and a tie, and even a casual association, which means that language loss is causing the alcohol use disorder and not merely associated with it. That would require more study, but in my opinion, that is where the data are pointing, hard scientific data. And this data is from Australia. Assault rates, interestingly, also go up when languages are lost. People who don't speak their heritage language are more likely to be assaulted, according to some studies coming out of Australia. Also, there's a link in some studies between suicide rates and language loss. One study coming out of Canada had very, very dramatic results in that in communities where the Indigenous and heritage language was not spoken, the youth suicide rate was up to 6 times higher. That's not a typo, it's like 600% higher. So language loss definitely has real world implications in terms of mortality and suicidality. So this is, I would propose, a very, very serious issue and not just a Mickey Mouse thing. So that was enough maybe of the negativity and the pain. We can talk about the gain now. The good news in all this is if you decide to learn your heritage language, even if you were not taught it, even if it was not passed down to you, when that happens, people's health does tend to improve. So learning your Indigenous heritage language is good for your health, so to speak. That's not a medical claim. I'm just saying that there is scientific research out there that's published that shows a positive correlation between language reacquisition or language reclamation and health outcomes. It's good for you to learn your language. Rusyn is good for you. And now I'm going to talk about our project to use artificial intelligence to create text in Lemko that's going to allow you guys to write in Rusyn today. You guys are all going to be writing in Rusyn. This language that we're revitalizing here is called Lemko in Poland. So here in Slovakia, the term Rusyn is used more, and in Poland, they're going to use the word Lemko. I believe generally they're talking about the same language. That's debatable, but we're going to be using the word Lemko here in these slides. So Lemko is a definitively to severely endangered language, which means it's on the verge of being one of those statistics. A lot of scholars will talk about some close old roots in the southwestern Ukrainian branch. We're not going to go into that today, but it has something maybe in common with southwestern Ukrainian dialects, but that's not the topic of our conversation. This language is indigenous to Poland and Slovakia, so we're talking about indigenous languages here. I'd like to, sometimes I don't hear the word indigenous in the European context very much, and I think that's a shame. I think there are indigenous languages in Europe, and we need to work to revitalize them. Okay. So let's talk about the materials that we're using here. These artificial intelligence methods require enormous amounts of data. And data. That's why Google is always asking you for your consent, right, for your data. We just need tons and tons of data for AI to work the way it does. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Uh, I've developed a bilingual corpus, which basically means we've got text, tons and tons of text in Rusyn and in Elemko, and we also have it in English. And so I'm using that to train our models. I also translate this stuff into Polish and into Slovak. So we've got a bilingual corpus, and we started out with about 70,000 words, and now we're up to about 1 million words. So we've got a pretty hefty corpus, but we still need much more data. In computer science, we're always going to talk about sources of truth, which means how do we know what's true and what's not? And at some point, we just have to pick an authoritative source and say, okay, this is the truth. Some things are subjective. I'm not suggesting otherwise. But for when we train our data, when we train our models, we need to just pick something and say, this is the truth, and we're going to work with it. So we've got some good dictionaries in Poland. We've got the Lemko Polish dictionary. There's also a Lemko Ukrainian dictionary out there. There's a new dictionary out last month by Dr. Olena Duch-Pfeiffer in Poland. There's also some dictionaries here. I think it's Kercha is the main dictionary that people use, but that's kind of more optimized, I believe, for the Uzhhorod area and not Slovakia. So my dream would be to have like an English Rusyn dictionary for Slovakia that's digitized. Those do exist, but we need them in digital format to really, really leverage them. Grammars also are going to be very important. When we talk about the codification of Rusyn, for example, it was important that the official grammar was written and published in the 1990s, and that we can refer to that. Because at some point we just have to pick a standard, some spelling rules, and stick to it if we want to get good results with AI. So in Poland, that grammar is called, it's by Chomiak and Fotański and Pirte, and here in Slovakia, it's going to be by Anna Pliskova. She's written a lot of good codifications and grammars that really, really help us out with this effort. And methods. So the technology we're using here is called neural machine translation. If you guys ever text somebody and your phone will kind of suggest the next word in the sequence to you, that's from sequence to sequence artificial intelligence. And that's what we're using here. So the first sequence is the stuff, for example, in English. And then the next part of the sequence that it's going to predict is going to be in Rusyn. I've also been doing a lot of stuff with what we call hybrid artificial intelligence and rule-based systems, which is where we use logic coded in Python to translate between, say, Rusyn and standard Ukrainian, and use that to create tons and tons and tons of data that we wouldn't otherwise have access to. This is called transfer learning because Rusyn is a very low resource language. And so we want to borrow the resources of higher resource neighbors. So Slovakia is also, I would say, a low resource language, but it has much more resources than Rusyn does. So we want to use as much stuff in Slovak as we can. We want to use as much stuff in Polish as we can. We want to use whatever we can get. And we're going to use rule-based machine translation to do that, generally coded in Python. I'm a test-driven development fanatic. So what I like to do is have the tests that say, I want X to translate to Y from the dictionary, and then it'll pass the test. And eventually I get 10,000 tests, and I know that the code is always translating things right because I run the test suite every time I save everything. So yeah, we were at 9,518 quality assurance tests. What I'd like to do moving forward is take the codification by Pliskova, for example, and write unit tests, like Russian, right? They're different things. However, the Rusyn community in the United States, for a while, for a lot of complicated reasons, only had Russian textbooks. And as you can see, this language spoken in Moscow is really not close at all to Rusyn. Belarusian, from Belarus is also quite far apart. Polish is going to be a lot closer. And for whatever reason, I don't even know if it's significant, Ukrainian was a little closer here. But you've got a big gap here between these other languages and Rusyn. So I just wanted to highlight that you can't use standard Ukrainian and expect good results in these communities. And even Polish is a lot different. And certainly Russian is very, very, very different. There was this folk belief in the community that somehow Ukrainian was really, really different from Rusyn, and that Moscow Russian was somehow closer. I just wanted to put out there that that's not true, that this has nothing to do with standard Russian. That's really not going to help. Although unfortunately at that time in the United States, the only textbooks available were standard Russian textbooks. So was it better than nothing? Yeah, I mean, people learn Cyrillic, but I don't want to dwell on that. Okay, so here's some examples of our output here. So we're looking at the truth, and we picked a native speaker that was interviewed, and we just picked her as the source of truth. That this is what the Rusyn is supposed to look like. And you've got the transliteration here into Latin alphabet. And then here is the system that we're using. And we've got the blue score. So for the reference, it's going to be 100. Our translation got to 58. And then Google Translate is all the way here down at 4.41. So this is only 4% like that. This is 60% like that. So that's a pretty good result. And of course, everyone's going to speak this language differently. So we can't always expect 100, right? Two different ways of saying something in the same language can be correct. So 100 is a very poor standard because it's impossible to achieve in the field. So generally with the blue score, we want to see about 30. 30 is considered human quality. I did these translations, this experiment on myself. I locked myself in a room, cut the internet, no dictionaries, nothing. I set myself a timer, and I translated by hand, and I scored about 27. So that was me, I was 27, so anything above that is superhuman quality, I would say. Of course, these are kind of relative metrics, so you're going to want to score them each time. You can't say 30 in one experiment is equal to 30 in another. You have to run it for every experiment. And then discussion points. I think you guys might have some questions yourself. So the idea is, should we continue in this direction of coupling morphologically and syntactically informed generators to neural engines? I think, yeah, it's a good way to do it. We can artificially make Czech and Slovak and Polish look like Rusyn, then use that in our training data and get good results. We can also use this rule-based stuff to ensure compliance with the rules. It's very important, I think, for the community here that Rusyn was codified in the 90s, and we want to ensure compliance with that. And we can use natural language processing, Python logic to ensure that compliance. And that's where I think we can add a lot of value by not just creating the AI model and calling it a day. We can really add value by ensuring compliance with the official grammars of Pliskova in Slovakia and Fotański and Chomiak in Poland. So sometimes you're going to have, in our community in the United States, there was a lot of Russian textbooks, like I said, that's all people had access to. So if you look at our newspapers and stuff, it's just full of Moscow Russian words. And we can use, but we're going to translate from English into Rusyn right now. So pretend if you never spoke your language before, let's go to Euronews. So you know I'm not cheating, we're going to pick a news article from right now. Just in, where is the article? Diplomat skips EU meeting, gone from public view. Okay, let's try it. That sounds interesting. Okay, so just a few minutes ago on Euronews, while I was giving this was published. And we're going to, if I can figure out how to, there we go. We're going to copy this. Okay. And then go back to the translator. Paste it in. Whoop. If I can figure out how to use it. Where is the arto? Copy. Okay. And we're going to paste it in. And now it's translating from English into Rusyn for Slovakia. Here at the bottom, you've got using the Latin alphabet, and here you've got the Cyrillic alphabet. Except for some reason it's in the Polish alphabet there. Okay. So, prosím čítate.
Seattle bude propušťatý budúci týždeň Rada EU pro zahraniční díla po skončení výborového konania Orbánovej vlády.
Thank you. Rusyn speakers, how does that sound to you? Good? It's okay. Not perfect. Perfect is not my standard here. My standard here for now is good enough. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak Rusyn right now? Yeah? What would you like to say? So, because you speak Rusyn, right? Okay. So how about, I have an idea. Let's say what you want to say in English, and you say it in Rusyn, and then we put it in here, and we see if it's close or not. No? No? Okay. What languages do you speak? Russian? Okay. Any others? You speak Rusyn and Ukrainian, yeah? Okay. Because this, I wanted to show you guys, this will translate from standard Ukrainian as well. So, but I don't know where the Cyrillic keyboard is on his, so I don't know. Do you have a Cyrillic keyboard? We can do it later, I don't think. Anyone else want to speak Rusyn? Something simple. No?
I can try some.
Yeah, let's try with you, sure. Do you want me to put it in first, or are you going to put it in first? Speak first, and then we'll compare.
Yeah. Or can I type something?
Absolutely, yeah. Yes.
Seattle bude propušťatý budúci týždeň Rada pro zahraniční díla po skončení výborového konania Orbánovej vlády protistojí oficiálnym provođenja Moje meno je Matúš, pochodzę ze Slovakie.
Tam je najdôležité pro nás azbuka a latinika.
Tak, tu je latinika a tu je azbuka.
Pro koho čo je lepšie? Čítať to azbuku neovládať, ťažko počítať.
To je moja
Pro nás rusínskom jazyku lepšie je pročítať po česku.
Tu je lepšie, tak?
No jasne. To neovládať perfektnou azbuku. Kolega ovládať perfekt azbuku. Ja poslal všetko. Ale pročítal.
No tak. To je len tak. S latinským alfabetom bolo to také lepšie ľuďom tu čítať, tak? Ľudí tu nie...
Každému človeku.
Tak. So, yeah, I think everyone here can read this. It's not, I know the alphabet's a little messed up. I need to fix that. But here we go. Czytajcie, proszę.
Moje meno je Matúš, pochodzę zo Slovakie, jem študent na univerzity, absolvujem Todrik. Absolvoval jem Todrik.
Close enough?
Close enough.
Close enough. So we're going not for perfect, but for good enough. Okay. So you all can go to rusynator.com and start speaking Rusyn right now. Yes?
But result is not have one versus words. It's
Mm-hmm.
only
Mm-hmm.
or Slovak language or Belarusian language or Ukrainian, but it's not have any Russian words. This is problem or not?
He's looking
Result in Russian language.
here?
Down
Here.
below here.
Okay, so this is the Cyrillic transliteration. So the Rusyn language, like officially, is using the Cyrillic alphabet, and we have the transliteration into the Cyrillic. So like our newspapers and our media are all like in Cyrillic. So the normal people, I think they use every day, they use the Latin, but like for literature, we try, I think, to use Cyrillic as much as possible. Yeah, we use Cyrillic when we're typing with each other. Yeah, but a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't know Cyrillic in this country. They know Rusyn, but they don't know Cyrillic. So yeah, I'm trying to give people the option for both, yeah? And then you can copy this and paste it in the chat. That's a good question, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much
My pleasure.
for awesome presentation. Big applause for Peter. Right now it's time for questions. If you have some, you can ask.
I have a question.
Yes?
This is exclusively for the Rusyn, but could the technology and the process be used to translate other minority languages?
Absolutely. This process can be used to translate other minority languages. The process I've come up with is based on, I talked with Matusz about this, like fine-tuning an existing model. So for this, I fine-tuned, I believe, a Czech model, Slovak model to translate into Rusyn. So this process can work if the minority language has a higher resource language that's related to it, for example.
Yes. I am a podkarpacki Niemiec, so I don't speak
Yeah.
my minority language, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And we are like 1,000 people that
Mhm.
can actually use the minority language.
Yeah.
And so there is not really that much material written or spoken that's left that could be used to train the model.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you could take a German model, maybe a Slovak model, because the language was influenced by Slovak a lot.
Yeah.
And you could theoretically take those models and fine-tune them to the minority language.
Right. Right, so you could take a standard German model, and if you've got, do you know how many words you have of text available?
I have no idea, but very little. Some poems, maybe some
Oh,
2
wow.
or 3 books, and a
Yeah.
dictionary.
Wow. Yeah, you could try that fine-tuning approach, or I think maybe a rule-based approach might help as well. Very interesting. Because it's like, it's its own like dialect of German, right? It sounds like.
Yes, all to German, but it was influenced enough by the local language that it's not really comparable anymore to what it used to be.
You know, this is a fascinating topic, and it's cool to use this blue score to see, okay, if I use the Czech model, do I get better Rusyn? If I use the Polish one, do I get better Rusyn? If I use the Ukrainian one, do I get better Rusyn? And see which model to fine-tune to get the closer result. In fact, I got some weird results, like the Polish Rusyn, closer to Slovak than it was to Polish. So that's something to investigate. But it's really interesting to do these experiments. I'd be curious to see if these this German language for Slovakia is closer to Slovak or German syntactically. That would be interesting. Thank you for the question.
I would like
Yes.
to ask a question about the introduction of your presentation, where there were some claims about the prevalence of problems like diabetes and drug or alcohol abuse
Yeah.
in correlation with the indigenous languages.
Yes.
But what I thought about is that these languages are mostly spoken in communities that are actually different from the minority, from the main population. I mean that they often live without, for example, alcohol or
That's a very interesting question. So the question is the better health outcomes among people who keep their language due to their isolation. Yeah, they're isolated from access to illegal drugs, for example. There's no drug dealers in the area. There's not as much access to alcohol or money to buy it, or they're just further away from it. They're further away from the cities where a lot of bad habits are more common. I'll put it that way. I believe the study I read, they did compare. In English, we say that you don't compare apples to oranges, right? You can't compare a family in a city and a family like in a village that's isolated in the mountains because they have two different lifestyles. And I agree with that, absolutely. So for this study, I do believe they took one settlement that was an isolated indigenous settlement and another isolated indigenous settlement. And they say all things being equal, the only difference is the language being kept or not. What are the health outcomes in terms of alcohol use disorder, diabetes, suicide, for example? So I believe the study is to control for that. Otherwise, it would not be good science, right?
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
My pleasure. Thank you for your good question. Appreciate it.
I would like to ask if there were some words that were not present in the dictionary, like in the codified part of the language from the dictionaries, but were present in other data sources like transcriptions from speech of speakers and from literature.
Absolutely. In fact, a huge difference. And we're at an interesting part here because when I look at the data from the codified sources written by people who are educated in the language, they often use completely different words than when they did the interview and transcribed the interview. And the scores are much different. And we're at it's a good question. Do we go what the people are actually speaking in the villages? Like in Poland, it might be closer to Poland. In Slovakia, closer to Slovak. Or do we go with what our codification says and our elites say and our literature says, and it's almost like a different language. And it's might be important to support both, especially from translating out of Rusyn. And it's an important question when we translate into Rusyn, are we going to talk with how the people talk or talk how they should talk? And that is a question for us, for you guys, for the community to decide. Maybe we could do both. We could do like a literary Rusyn engine and a colloquial Rusyn engine, and they could be two different registers. Absolutely. Great point.
I have a question.
Yes.
That low resource languages are not that developed as the biggest languages like English, German or Italian. And I'm just interested in what about generating new words? Would be it possible, if we have the core words in the language and the language is not developed, we don't have the variations of some words.
Mm-hmm.
Can we use this kind of software also for generating new words, which can be, for example, some combination of some existing words, which can be really good alternative, for example, and it can help linguists in that way.
This is a great question. And it comes to the core of what we call like overtraining in machine learning here. So if we start off with the Slovak model, and we translate it, we train it to speak Rusyn. At some point I have a problem where I overtrain it and it doesn't have words for like when I'm trying to translate my slides for like the important scientific words. But the Slovak word I know people will understand, and if I can make it look Rusyn, it'll be perfect for the situation and communicative. So I think it's important in our data set when we're scoring our data and how good the translation is to not overtrain and to let the model kind of Rusynize Slovak a little bit, enough to make that kind of communication possible. Because we're not going to have every word in our data set. We're a low resource language. So I think not overtraining or even undertraining a little bit could help with that, and it's an important problem. And there are other solutions we're not seeing, like some kind of dictionary.
A language basically changes, and did you have the problem that you basically tried to teach the model some Rusyn from some country, but it was so different from the other Rusyns that it basically was difficult or impossible to implement?
Yeah, I'm kind of a purist about that. I was very clear, like when I went through the corpus, throwing out stuff. I did like some Python scripts to like look for old church Slavonic stuff. Like there was a lot of, the Bible. Like, you know, someone would like put something from the Bible in there, like a church reading, which is cool, but like I don't want it in the Rusyn corpus because it's going to produce old church Slavonic and not Rusyn, which is not what I'm trying to accomplish. Especially with religious texts, that was a problem, yeah.
Yes, I would mention Old Slavic, Latin, for example, if the Soviets would have a Russian, something like that.
You know, and ironically, the Russian I had to get rid of Russian from the corpus as well, and it was usually coming from the United States. Because the Rusyns were writing in Russian in the United States, and the newspapers, and someone was like quoting it. This is what the Americans wrote in 1935 about America, and it's interesting, but it's in Russian, it's in Moscow Russian. And so, yeah, it's out. Yeah, I wrote scripts like with a Russian word, like the most common Russian words, and I would just throw out the whole paragraph if I found something I thought was impure, which is a little fanatical, but it works. Excellent question. With the German, that's going to be interesting because, yeah.
I think it will be basically impossible with so little literary sources.
Maybe if you know some rules, because it is really close to German. If you know some rules,
It's not
rule-based approach.
the problem. The language
if
basically.
there is some maybe if there is some book of some basic grammar, you can just change.
Yep.
Little bit German. I'm not sure if this kind of approach.
I think a hybrid approach would be good. Do both. Try both. Do one before the other, and then do the other one before the other, and just whatever gets that blue score higher. Just got to fight to get that blue score up. At first, it's going to be like nothing, like really low. Like when I started, this was at 6, and now I'm up to like 30. But it took 5 years. But it's definitely worth it. I'd be happy to help and work together.
That's not a lot of work.
Maybe the speech of the users of the language should be transcribed to increase the amount of the data and get rid of the loan words, because maybe each person may forget different words. They may have different loan words, and maybe there is some like intersections of.
Yes, but that is the problem that basically there's maybe 5 or so villages that speak the dialect, you could say, and there isn't really enough sources to differentiate what the loan words are and what the original words are, because basically, like I said, the Christian texts were added over time. Slovak was added, German was added, Russian was added, Latin was added, and it's difficult to say what is original and what was basically added over time.
Right. Right. I mean, at some point too, the borrowings become part of the language.
Yes.
Like a bard is in our language. Yeah, it's from Polish. I think it's borrowed from Polish bardzo, but proszę bardzo is like very normal Rusyn, at least in Poland. So we have a lot of borrowings that are so old they're Rusyn, I would say. Maybe the recent borrowings we want to get rid of, but not the old ones.
Yes.
Okay, I think we are running out of time
Okay.
right now. Peter, thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
coming, for awesome presentation.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for you all that you came here. I think that low resource language topic is really hot across the globe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dziękuję.
One question, can we take a photo together? We can came here and take a photo.
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Very good.
Thank you. That was awesome. Vyberať. Miro, Petro.
Aby sme mohli potom popisovať trošku, lebo ten kodifikovaný jazyk 30 rokov je od toho. A moju padujú na cestovým jazykom. Ja veľkú chovu, no môžeme foto a potom
OK, dobre.
Poďte. Veľkú chovu vyžu u tej latiniku a azbuku.
Mhm.
Čom nemajú
Polski je. Tam je.
Ale ne, azbuku šo tam je
Aha.
latiniku, lebo to tam.
Latinika slovacka, polska je.
A slovenská Rusyn je azbuka.
A rusínská azbuka. Aha.
Дуже ťažko. Naše molodí deti nechodia sa azbuku učiť.
No to problém. Cheese.
Thank you very much.
Základ jazyka, poviem napríklad gorálsky jazyk pred rokom vznikol. Ale my sa vôbec nezaoberajú, jazyk je schválený, čiže je národný menšinou, ale vôbec nepúšťajú sa do toho, aby už písané jazyk sa zakodifikovali. Poučili sa. My, keby mali sme kodifikovaný jazyk v latinici, boli by sme daleko úspešnejší. Moji synovi začali chodiť v materskú školu. A jak začali, a deti Slováci sa smiali, čo to vy tu píšete, jaké to písmena majte. Je to tak zachovené.
A azbuku ne je záujem o azbuku.
Rusín, Slovák. Ja musím chodiť u školu slovácku, učiť sa ukrajinčinu, ja maturoval ukrajinčinu.
Oh wow.
Ruský jazyk ja učil sa. Ale jak prišla v 68 roku, po slobode napali nás Rusy. U nás je odpor voči Rusu.
Tak.
A gramatika, azbuka je ruská. Nám je povedomia Rusina. To nebolo dobrý zrobené.
Budu po rusínsku.
Dobre.
Že dneska bola tu prezentácia o Rusínoch, ale málo, ja som by malo z toho odnesú dneska, za to, že ktoś tu mal byť a taký dôležitý preložitý to trebalo. Ja po anglicky neznám.
Rozumiem.
Takže dneska tu trebalo koho skať z Rusínu, kto zná perfektne po anglicky Rusín. A ja si dneska z toho tu odnízem.
Bo nebolo tlmača.
Tak, takže keď to malo byť o Rusínoch, čiže to malo byť, že jak ja sa dokážu cez internet komunikovať z rusínskej mовы do anglickej, do francúzskej. Takže škoda, že tu nebudú dneska trebalo, keď to malo byť o Rusínoch, mal tu ktoś byť po anglicky, že by preložil, povíšte?
Prekladáte na rusínsky napríklad.
Tak, takže kto tu bol okrem nás, my sme tu Rusíny, bo toto, čo tu boli ostatní, ja neznám, to všetké boli Rusíny, tu neboli, tu z Rusínu, to len tu sú iných národností, alebo zo Slovenska, alebo neznám, kto tu bol zastupca zo Francúzska, alebo z nich. Hej, tak neznám Böttke, ale dobrý, oni znajú po anglicky, takže si z toho dašo odnesli, ale ja...
Rozumiem. Lutujem.
Čiže neznám, či do budúcna budeš plánovať také akcii pre Rusínu, ako takové dašo, ale do budúcna, keď prejde ktoś, keď Rusín, jak my sme už v dôchodkovom veku, hej, my sme penzisty, hej.
Nás angličtina nezachopila. Ja musím ukrajinsku, ja aj maturoval srednú školu mám. Poľnohospodárskú srednú školu, ja maturoval v ukrajinčine. Materský jazyk v ukrajinčine.
Aha.
Takže ja tak samo, ja sa učím po ukrajinsky a potom po rusky, čiže ja azbuku čítať znám perfektne ako tak, hej. Ale po anglicky to len sem tam také slovo, čo je ako tak, to je bars, ja im si dneska z toho neodnísť nič.
Mne sa ľúbilo, keď ste ukázali poľsky. Čítal, česky čítal.
Aj po poľsky, my porozumieme skorej po poľsky, bo my pri hraniču, ja s Poľakmi v komunikácii sme, lebo sme pri
naša
hranične.
generácia azbuku, ja prочитал, hej. Ale to je naša generácia, to znamená tých 60 rokov
A veci.
A už azbuku sa neučili. To bol len nepovinný predmet. A kto sa chodí učiť ruštinu? Azbuku. Kaže nemčinu, angličtinu sa chodili naše deti a vnúka učiť. Azbuka pána. Tam veľká chyba sa stala pred 30 rokami v kodifikovanom jazyku azbuku. Veľká chyba. Ale bola taká doba. Chodili sme sa rýchlo do sveta kodifikovať, bo rusiny budú na ten jazyk. Generácia to tam upaduje a mladá azbuku neznaje.
Takže Rusíny, my sme jako národ, ktorý, neznám, či ty máš povedomie o tom, že to je jediný, neznám, či jediný národ na zemeguli, ktorý v životí existencii nemal svoju štátnosť. Keď znaš štátnosť, čo je štátnosť.
Rozumiem.
Čiže
my sme državnosť,
tak. My sme jediný možno národ, ktorý nemal državu. Hej? My sme len boli ako furt jak národnosť. Hej? Takže asi tak. A nás je kopu šitých Rusínů, čo je na tu podkarpatskej Rusi, čo je súčasťou Ukrajiny. Dnešnej Ukrajiny to kolis patrilo po Čechoslovákiu. Podkarpatská Rus byla po druhé světové vojně, všetko, знаєш o tom, asi neznáš históriu, nepoznáš históriu
Ja znám.
Ukrajiny, že Podkarpatská Rus
Byl časťou Čechoslovácie.
po druhé světové vojně byla současťou Čechoslovákie.
Tak.
V 45. Stalin Rusa pobrali.
Tak.
Škoda, že nebylo to.
Ale to nič nevadí.
Ja tiež lutujem, to oni mi kazali, že to seba.
Akurát cez Míra, po tu Míro Pacola, ja by si chodil ten translátor nainštalovať, že bym ho znal ovládať, ten translátor.
Ja vám zainštalujú, pokazať, tak.
Lebo ja zač ani v týchto veciach nejem až tak zdátnej, hej, alebo neznám, kde to bude.
Tak, Google možno, tak.
No.
Tak, tu zainstaluję dla was, dobra? To będzie tak.
Bo ja to neznám zase tak, neviem, zdatný v týchto vecach to nainštalovať si sobі ten translátor, že bym to znal, ako aj. Nie, to sme, hej, aha, dobrý.
Rusínsky překladač.
No.
A tu máte.
No.
Z slovenčiny na rusínske.
Hej.
Na Google?
Tak.
A kolik хочу, že tu změnit jazyk, že z angličtiny, tak dám anglicky tu, hej? Tu, hej? A bude Rusi, že z jakého jazyka, abo je aj opačná verzia, že z rusínského jazyka na anglický? Nie, opačná verzia nie je, len z týchto jazyků, čo sú tu zo slovenčiny, polštiny, čiže...
Tak.
A čom ne je...
Bo to Google Translate prekladať z rusínskoho na slovenský.
Hej, je.
To už je u Google Translate, tak. A to môj translator to na rusínsky, a nie z rusínského.
Kde to budú mať uložené? Tak kde na obrazovku sa dať stiahnutý?
Rusínsky prekladateľ.
A na obrazovku stiahnutý.
A tu ja to mám tu uložené, to, že bym to mal. Potom, že bym to mal u tom diskať, kde to budú mať
Tu môžete...
Nie tak dumám, že keď ja z toho vejdu, hej, a že by tu, ktorý tu diskať, hej, že by tu jem to mal, u tom uloženoj. Že bym to, tak, že bym to mal tam, že ten translátor je tam na plochu, sa tomu hovorí u nás. Na obrazovku, hej, že bym to mal tu uložitý.
Už neznalo azbuku, tento systém umožňuje, aby sa zapojili aktívne do života na Západu. Ešte celé vaše meno.
Napíšte na Facebooku i ja vám pomôžu.
Hej.
Dobre, a mení to na obrazovku ide?
Ne, to nebude znati da ti asi. To každý mobil je inakšie, ako maje to celé. Čo ti poviem, Mirku? Tak
čemu sme tu a čo to očakávajme, rozumieš?
Napište na Facebook mi i ja vám pomôžu.
A jaké Facebook?
Len my troje sa prihlásili za Rusnáky. Rozumieš? Všetky ostatní sú tiež napríklad táto žena, ona je Ruská z Ukrajiny. Je to zajímať túto pre... Každá zajímať, že
Ahoj, Košice.
Ale ten systém prekladá
Okay.
že to je.
Správa?
Každá, že je to možné.
O. To ja vám napíšu, jak dáte na ten.
Užívám aj nevynikající ITčkár. Ja ITčkár spojený i s jazykovedcom.
A ty tu jako prednášaš na tu univerzitě, jako, alebo šo IT technologií, alebo je tu jako učitel?
Ja?
Hej,
Tu?
tu.
Nie, ja tu nepracuju.
Nie, a kde?
Ja host.
No ale to dneska byl pozvaný, jako, alebo jak?
Nie, on učí, alebo on žije v Krakovi.
Ja inżynier, ja pracuję w Krakowie, w Polsce,
A
jako
i
inżynier.
tam žiješ?
Tak.
Hej,
tak,
v Krakowie
tak,
žiješ.
tak.
You are married?
No, I have a girlfriend. Yeah.
My do Polska zostali sme Riaba skala, Pľaša, ten
Ruské sedlo, tam je prechod u nás, tam kde my dvome, ta u nás je do Polši prechod legálny byl či za Rakúsko-Uhorska. Hej? To selo Ruské sa zvalo u nás Ruské a tam byla Porta Rusíka cesta od Vodky išla až do Maďarska až do Belegradu.
Wow.
Hej?
šla až do
Serbia.
Ne, Serbia, do Polska.
Bilgorod, OK.
Do Bilgorodu a do Lvova.
Obchodná cesta, obchodná trasa.
Takže my sme v kontakte s Poliakmi ako tak a ja po polsku 50% Poliaky tu bude bisidovati po polsku, ja budu rozumieť po polsku. Hej, lebo máme blízko, my sme hneď boli susedňa toto a na druhej strane Poliaci žili, ale tam žili tak samo, Rusíny też žili, rusínská komunita tam žije, čiže, ale v nej do dneska znavuť bisidovati po rusínsku, ako tak, hej, toto na poľskej strane.
No, my sme jeden národ.
No tak.
One nation.
One nation.
Moji predkové z Mušina, Bielohorod a je to Turka a Volosate.
OK.
Čiže celý rod je i z Polska. Ne Poliaci, ale Lemkové.
Rusiny z Pošte, tak.
No polovica tu.
Len dáme ho opačne, ale nemôžeme tam ísť.
Ja veľmi rád, že vy ste prišli. Ďakujem. Ľutujem za to, že nebol rozumielým jazykiem.
No len škoda, že ja som by malo odnízeň ako z toho, hej, dnešného stretnutia. Jako tak. Že dneska mal by ty tu aj tohto prekladoval, aspoň, ne všetko, ale aspoň dôležití základní veci mám prekladovať i takto.
No, treba bylo prekladať na slovenské alebo na rusínske.
Alebo na slovenské, alebo na rusínske.
Tak treba bylo.
Alebo aj na polskej.
Alebo na polskej.
Môžeš aj po polsky.
Mówię po polsku, oczywiście.
No to po polsku bym rozumiem na 50%, aj veci, na 50%
Tak.
po polsku. Jakože poviem po anglicky a toto, čo poviem po anglicky, poviem po polsky. Aj po polsku bym na 50% bym mal z toho vedomosti veci.
To może jak zaprosíte mnie do Sniny, to zrobię to po polsku. Bez angielskiego.
No.
I postaram się może po naszemu to zrobić.
Petro, this application, I can open that and work?
Yeah.
Because I try and not...
Oh, show me. I can help you. Yeah.
Otvorila sa cesta na západ.
No.
Translator a ono mi to ukazuje, že stránka...
Nedostupná.
Kaže nám naskočiť do letiniku, nemčinu, angličtinu. A niekto nechoče azbuku sa učiť ukrajinčinu a polsku. Čiže my sme jeden skodifikovaný jazyk.
Ešte budú chcieť.
Hej.
No, čiže 50 60 rokov, čo mal 70 rokov, pomerali a my nemáme komunikačný jazyk.
A tu nie, tak. Rusyn, Ator,
Ale naše deti nemajú jak komunikovať.
Napiš.
Goralský jazyk vznikl před rokom. Vůbec se nezoberal o tom, že jak vypísat. A my múdri, my jsme furt múdri, lebo my jsme múdri Rusnáci, Ukrajinci. Tu přišli Ukrajinci a nám nadiktovali.
A nemáš netu.
Čo nemám?
Internetu. A tu tak. Připojíš.
Stornásobne sa nám lepšie začne komunikovať a Rusnák bude Rusnákom. Tak sme je fyzicky.
Nie, Rusnáci ste.
Nie, kodifikovaným jazykom v to mi najhvarejšie počuť. Ja mám vlastne
Môžeš to dať na toto na screen?
Ľučka začali chodiť na rusínske jazyk, na tejskú školu v peršom ročne. Deti sa vysmieli.
Lebo nebol to internet a ja neznám, že bol po internet, lebo to je internet ako na technickej univerzite pre všetko, rozumieš, aj? No a...
Tu máš. Tu máš. Tu môžeš písať po slovensky i bude tu preklad.
Na screen sa mi to, keď otvoril, bude to na screen?
Aha. Nie, to musíš dať do ulubionych tam. Albo tu máš adresy. A tu máš tak do ulubionych dodané.
Čiže tu je, hej?
Tak. Založka. Založka
Do
tam je
založka,
teper.
Dobre.
Tak.
Dobre.
Toto si myslel, dobre.
Tu máme okres ako rajon, distrikt, Snina.
Tak.
Je tam strašne mnoho ľudí, ktorí sa o to interesujú.
Tak?
Ja dúfam, že či by sme mohli prísť k nám do Sniny.
Tak.
Bolo by to možné?
Bylo by to možné.
Takto najlepšie bolo, keby to bola sobota alebo nedeľa, keď študenti zo škôl alebo ľudia, ktorí robia v Košicách, v Prešovi, v Bratislava a tak ďalej, aby boli doma.
Líto môže.
No, ale sobota alebo nedeľa.
Ale ne po anglicky, takže
už bude
Ne po anglicky, tak.
Ne.
Po rusínsky, po polsky.
Po rusínsky, po polsky.
Tak.
Dobre.
Toto hej. To
Bez anglického.
Tak
Môže byť aj.
mladí znajú už angličtinu. Ale to, čo sa...
Povíš po anglicky, lebo toto povieš 100% správno. Hej? A potom povieš po rusnacko, polsky, aby to bolo aspoň
Aj pro nás.
Aj pro nás.
Aj pro nás Rusnákov.
Hej.
Dobrý.
Takže je to?
Je.
Dobrý, ďakujem.
Líto môže.
Hej?
Líto.
OK.
Super.
Servus.
Servus. Ďakujem vás.
Zdorovej buď.
Ďakujem. Ďakujem, že ste prišli.
Dobrý. Aj my ďakujeme za prednášku. Bola. Aspoň sme si odmenili. Bolo to užitočné. Servus.
Televízia. Môžeme po rusínsky?
Môžeme.
Hej. Počemu si urobil ten translátor? Odkiaľ si? A že prečo si sem prišiel?
Dobre, chlapci, hej. Vy len stojte pevne, hej? Ne tak, jak na prednáške, ale pevne, hej? Že by bola pekná kompozícia, nech sa vám páči.
Ja z Washingtonu, jak ja som byl na Slovensku, lítom, ja som chtěl rozmawiać, vysidovať s rodinom. A my v Americe nevysidovali po rusínsky doma. A tomu ja projektoval i zakodoval translator, prekladača, ktorý prekladí z anglického, z môjho rodného jazyka na rusínsky. Že by ja mít vyštudovať s ľuďmi na Slovensku, s Rusnákami.
Tento translator už sa dá oficiálne používať, alebo ešte má niečo, že treba ho vylepšovať?
Už oficiálne užívať v Priaševi na institúti trošku i tak možno už užívate. Nie je perfekcijný, tie preklady, ale sú dosť dobré.
Dobre, a kde ho môžu nájsť obyvateľia? Že keby som ja chcel použiť ten translator, kde ho nájdem?
Na stránku rusynator.com. rusynator.com.
Ešte celé meno vaše?
Petro Orenič.
Ďakujem veľmi pekne.
Ja vám ďakujem.
Nech sa darí.
Ďakujem. Pomyť? Pomoc?
Je tam
Pomoc?
Ne.
Ne.
Keď už tam podstate je tam možno 15 000.
Ja zvyknutý.
Ale dobrý, zakarpatskí Ukrajinci môžu písať po azbuci. Dobre, ale to snáci, no? Ale na to nič nemali premežeš. My boli sme, a to nepočíš druhú vec poslúchať, lebo to máme rok z Ukrajinčiny, to ovláda. Ale to bežní ľudia to neovládajú. A je rusko napísané. A už je to. Dobre, majte sa. Tak ešte raz.
Ďakujem.
Ja.
No, vidíme sa.
Jasne. Takže júl,
Abo you,
July?
or August maybe, yeah. July or August, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
July, August.
Yeah. Maybe September.
Maybe September.
In the summer. As I'm going to Vatra in July.
Mhm.
But,
Vatra, where?
Vatra, Poland, Zdynia.
Zdynia.
So maybe August. August would be good.
I've been there.
Yeah, cool.
Maybe
Awesome.
20 years ago.
Very cool.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it and bringing all these people.
We have connection
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
No problem. To know you, to tell you when or you coming to Snina, our region.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's try for August.
I think my son and his wife, they are speaking English
Okay.
perfect.
Cool.
She's director in Amazon in
Wow.
Darlington,
Yeah.
is in England, and son is top manager in Amazon in Slovakia.
Cool.
And they, I would like, because she's Polish, she, and my son is Rusyn Slovak.
Uh-huh.
But my son, he's living closely Bratislava, and no problem. He speak also perfectly Russian.
Awesome. We can
Okay.
practice.
Tak, all information I try to write you by Facebook. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mirko. Great to see you. Okay. Sure.
Russian language have many dialects
Yeah.
and variants.
Yeah.
And how do you control the quality of data set? You have got dialects or it's a problem?
So I have them, it's a big problem. I have them segregated, so 2 data sets, one for Poland and one for Slovakia, and they're just separate, yeah,
But
no mixing.
in Slovak,
Yeah.
I know for one word 3 variants, and I think that's a problem too.
Oh, for one word, there's like 3 options,
Yes.
3 different words?
Because people around Snina celý speak bisidovať.
Yeah,
In my region Stará Ľubovňa,
yeah.
it's hovariť.
Uh-huh.
And near Poland border, it's Godek. And so it slides a little bit to Gora or Polish.
Prišiel tu ešte redaktor, keď sa bude robiť rozhovor s Petrom, tak ešte potom môžete porozprávať. Môžeme ísť potom na obed spolu, keď chceš, keď máš čas.
Dobrý deň.
Dobrý deň.
Natália Hrebiková.
Teším sa.
Byli tu moji kolegové z televízií a ja im rozhlas, rádio. Takže či by sme mohli nahrať takú besidu, tak samo, na 10 minút.
Dobre.
Dobre. A môžeme po lemkivsk, po rusínsk? Na túto tému?
Jak chcete.
Hej. No, lebo do televízií známe dať titulka, ale do rozhlasu nie. Takže potrebujú to.
Aha, rozumiem. Aha, no
hej,
tak.
Alebo kombinácia rusínsko-polska, jak vám bude, len ne anglická.
Dobre, len ne anglicky.
To už nerozumeli, hej.
Rozumiem. Dobrý. To po polsku też można, tak?
Tak, ideálne kombinácia lemkivsko-polska, tak jak vám bude
Dobre. Postaram się po rosyjsku po. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds
All right.
Sounds good. Môžeme si aj systému? No, ja sa budú prosiť na tú vašu profesionálnu odbornú tému, čiže AI, Artificial Intelligence a rusínský jazyk alebo lemkivský jazyk. Takže toto, čo ste tu aj dneska prednášali, tak to je asi to, čomu sa venujete, to, čo robíte. No, tak najprv budem vás poprosila, že by ste sa predstavili vaše meno a kde vlastne pôsobíte, kde robíte.
Nazywam się Petro Reniš. Ja bywam w Wrocławiu, w Polsce. Ja tam pracuję jako inżynier sztucznej inteligencji, Artificial Intelligence.
A vy máte lemkivské korenia? Ste pochodžením Lemko?
Hej, moji dědkowie byli z Lemkoviny. Oni byli z Polski i ze Slováci. Ze Slováci oni byli mezi Laborc i z vši turisky.
Tak to známe. No a vy sa zajímate umelou inteligenciou, po slováckom už povistí umelá inteligencia, a po anglicky Artificial Intelligence, v kombinácii s rusínskym jazykom alebo lemkivským jazykom. Tak čo je to vašou úlohou, zadačou, čomu sa vy venujete, čo robíte v tej oblasti?
Tak, ja jem projektoval prekladača, ktorý prekladá z anglického i z slováckého i z polského na rusínský jazyk. I ja to jem robil, pretože my v Americe nebešedovali po našemu. I ja jazyka jem neznal. I ja jem chtěl pobešedovat se svojimi ľuďmi i se svojím rodinom v Európe.
Takže vy ste žili v Americe a neznali ste besedovať po rusínsku, a jak ste sa potom navčili po rusínsku, po lemkivsku?
Ja som naučil ze sluchu besedovať po našemu. Ja slúcham rádio Rusyn.fm, ja slúcham rádio Lem.fm, ja ľúbim byť s našimi ľuďmi i prosto posluchať i tak sa naučite.
No a to, čomu sa venujete, teda jak sa dá robiť s rusínskym jazykom v tej umelej inteligencii, je to doma, že prekladač, čiže nám to preloží text do rusínskeho jazyka, jak to celé funguje vlastne, že by sme to vysvetlili našim slúchačkám a slúchačom.
Tak, tam možno napísať po slovensky i vtedy automatične prekladať na rusínsky. I latinkom, i starovicom. Po prostu idти na stránku rusynator.com, napísať text albo po slovácky, albo po polsky, albo po anglicky i bude preklad.
A čo je za tým všetkom tak na pozadí, by sme mohli povistiť, jak to vlastne vznikalo, že dnes je už možné, že by nám text počítač alebo umelá inteligencia preložil do rusínskeho jazyka. Čo je vlastne za tou robotou celou, čo vy ste robili?
Treba było zbierać dane, żeby trenować model sztucznej inteligencji. I teraz mamy taką nową technologię, nazywa się Neural Machine Translation. I mamy po prostu dostęp do dobrych komputerów i my możemy trenować takie modely tak u siebie.
Čiže sú potrebné texty, čiže dane, tak údají, na to, že by sa mohla trénovať tá umelá inteligencia a prekladať do rusínskeho jazyka. A kedy ste sa tomu začali venovať? Jak dlho už toto robíte?
Ja to robił 10 rokів. Ja robię w Krakowie dla projektu Google Translate i myśmy prekladali z rosyjskiego na angielski. I ja to widział, że treba to robić i dla ruskiego języka. To było 10 lat temu, ja zaczął tym się zająć i ja думam, że w tym roku już mam dobrego prekladacza. Tak.
A súd môže aj nejaké inšie ľudia alebo inštitúcie, ktoré robia toto, čo vy, môže ne v Poľsči, ale na Slovákii alebo v inších državách, inších krajinách?
Думам si, že teraz len ja toto robię. Może być też to w Polsce też kto nad tym pracuje. No, ja był pierwszy i ja думаю, że teraz len ja to robię. Може ми з тим інститутом будемо співпрацювати, то би було супер.
A jak to môže pomoci, vlastne, jak môže pomoci prekladač do rusínskeho jazyka через umelú inteligenciu, jak môže pomoci Rusínám na Slovákii, Lemkám v Polši, alebo obšte všetkým Rusínám na celom svete?
Тепер русини можуть бесідувати по-русинськи зразу, навіть якщо язика не буде в школах. То кожен, хто говорить по-словенськи, може тепер в ciągu kilku minut бесідувати по-нашому за 2 минути. Бо напишіть там в Translator і одразу є переклад і може просто to odczytać latinkom.
Takže je možné, že by aj napríklad také odborné texty si tak preložil, také naukové texty, že si ich napíše napríklad po slovácku a preložiť mu to do rusínskeho jazyka?
Môž. Ja tak roблю. Ja svoju prezentáciu, ja dám do Translatora a potom mám preklad na rusínsky vedeckým jazykom. Tak.
No a dnes ste prezentovali túto tému na Techničnej univerzite v Košicách, tak na čo ste sa tak zameriali, alebo čo bola taká hlavná думка celej tej vašej prezentácii tu v Košicách pro študentov a ďalších ľudí, ktorí prišli?
Чтобы русские знали, что use je перекладатель для нашего языка, чтобы русские знали, что use теперь может дома беседовать, и дети можуть беседовать по-русинську, навіть як того язика не буде в школах. Що тепер my máme svojho prekladateľa.
Dobrý, čo ešte by sme mohli ku tomu povieť? Ešte dáš to, čo chcete povieť ku ti témy?
Neznám.
Povili sme, že jak dlho, že 10 rokov,
tak.
Že čom ste sa začali venovať, aj teda, že... Mám ešte jeden vopros.
Tak.
My na internete známe napríklad Google prekladač, ktorý prekladať z rozličných jazykov do rozličných jazykov, ale rusínsky jazyk tam ešte nie je. Je to taká budúcnosť? Môže to tak byť, že v budúcnosti bude toho súčasťou toho Google prekladača i rusínsky jazyk?
Nedumám, že by byl rusínsky jazyk v Google prekladač, bo to je taký malinký jazyk. Nás je koľko? Malo nás je na svete. Google Translate, či Google prekladač len má 200 jazykov. I na svete je 6000 jazykov. Ja nedumám, že to by byl náš malinký jazyk v Google Translate.
Takže keď nebude náš jazyk v Google Translate, tak my si musíme pomočiť takýma nástrojami, instrumentami, jak je napríklad Rusynátor a môže ďalšie.
Tak, to my sami povinníme zrobiť svoje veci do toho. Google nám nepomôže.
Dobre. Tak asi všetko. Ďakujem krásne.
Ja tiež ďakujem.
No a ešte si nahrám s Matušom.
Dobre.
Tak ďakujem.
Proszę bardzo.
A dúfam, že sa vám ľúbiť u nás na Slovensku.
Tak, tu je vás fajne. Tak.
No, idú ho zavolať.
Dobre.
S Matušom ešte nahrám, ale...
Tu je to študent.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm finishing now with my bachelor work now.
Cool.
And I'm making this I have NLP too.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
And Rusyn too.
Awesome. So like NLP plus Rusyn, yeah. That's awesome.
But I have a big problem with metrics and dialects because
Oh yeah?
I'm using Gemini
Yeah.
translate and correct.
Yeah.
And it often hallucinates.
Using Gemini to translate from Rusyn to Slovak, or?
Yeah, from Slovak to Rusyn.
How was that? Does it work at all? That's interesting.
I have some results I can show you.
Yeah, sure. That's fascinating. I've never tried using Gemini to translate into Rusyn for Slovakia. That's cool.
But I have dataset or parallel sentences.
Oh, really?
And I give Gemini sentences.
Yeah.
And I think it's called pressure. It's what's codificating pressure and how to write in Rusyn. And I give it to Gemini the prompt, and I can show you.
How big is your data set?
Oh, small.
Do you know how many words or lines?
I have 300 sentences.
Okay. It's a start. It's an interesting idea just to give Gemini a small data set and see what it does. Why not? Mm-hmm.
But that's I think it's from first test, and that's a reference, and this is from Gemini, and you can see it's dialects. And that's the problem. But now it's better. I have better results because in first test I have got just 100 elements
Mm-hmm.
in my dataset.
It looks pretty good.
This was Gemini.
With only 300 sentences. It's amazing. So it's like looks like it's using Ukrainian, yeah?
Yes.
Standard Ukrainian?
Yes, it's how it's, but now when I got the 300, I don't see much.
Because it had his Vietnamo there, but it had Budeme, so that's interesting. It's kind of, it's not doing a rule-based thing. Fascinating.
But sometimes I have got the problem that it's, I have direct right to the prompt that it doesn't use the Cyrillic, but it still use.
Oh, it still uses Cyrillic?
Yes, but I know, I don't have computer with
Oh, because...
Okay, but I can send you if you want.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can send it, it's p@orenich.com.
Yes, I will Photoshop it.
Cool, oh, thanks. Awesome. I should have put that at the end too. But it's cool.
Martin showed me the easy way to translate from Latin to Cyrillic language. Is open source Rusyn library.
Oh, really? He's got like a translator. Yeah, I had to make one for my project too.
Show you. I don't know if
No, I didn't know about this. This is cool.
it's open. I can use it's JavaScript
Oh, okay.
library.
Is there like an API for it, I wonder?
No, you don't.
Tak ďakujem, ešte raz. Majte
Tak,
sa
ďakujem.
všimni, všetko dobré.
Ďakujem.
Matúš, ahoj.
Ciao. And you still have this microphone here.
Yeah, should I get my stuff first?
Yeah, you can pack your stuff.
Okay.
I have the office here, you can put it there, because this is like open thing.
Okay.
We close it, but people can come.
So we're not live streaming lunch.
Yeah, but it was awesome.
Thank you.
That's my colleagues, researchers, they said that, you know, I told you that when I was in LA, researchers from Princeton, MIT, Stanford, Top university were coming every week and they were presenting their research. It
Yeah.
was awesome. When I came here, I was like, we can do the same thing here. And in our lab, we had some lectures, we have collaboration. Some people came, but one lecture per year or in 2 years. And they told me that this was the best presentation.
Mine?
Yeah. It was the
Thank
best.
you.
Yeah, they were like very surprised that it was the best presentation in our lab over the years where these researchers were coming. It was the best presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Awesome. Great.
Wow.
Great.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate hearing that. Thank you. Wow. It's a great opportunity. Thank you. Like just like to meet so many people like you, like doing the stuff with the NLP and the AI and the Rusyn. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, around 20 people came.
It was huge. It was like full. It was like people almost standing.
Yeah.
It's awesome. TV, radio.
Yeah. And my colleague, which sat next to me, he usually doesn't come to office. He's like online, but he came here just for this presentation.
Oh wow! 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 I really appreciate it.
I was also interested. And that colleague with long hair.
Yeah.
He also has roots in Podkarpatia.
Oh, okay.
Subcarpathian roots.
Like in
Some
Ukraine
roots
now.
there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He's in Ukraine right now.
I think one of the other women who asked the question, she was from there too. I think. Yeah.
No, I think that she was from Eastern Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
And she was speaking Russian.
Ah.
Russian and Ukrainian.
That's the problem.
And she was like completely confused.
Right. Sure.
Let's say like okay.
Because it sounds the same almost in English.
Yeah.
It's almost the same word, same
Not the
pronunciation.
Same, maybe, sure,
Especially with my accent, my American accent, it's like the same.
But Rusyn we can differentiate very well.
We were very, like hypersensitive to it.
When I say about Rusyn to people who speak English, Russian, no.
Right, no.
No Russian. They think that I pronounce it wrong. Pronounce it incorrectly.
And for Americans, right? Like when you were in
Yeah,
California.
when you say,
Yeah.
I have that experience when you say Rusyn to people, they think that I pronounce Russian wrong or incorrectly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Russian. No, Rusyn is a different word. Yeah. Can we go for lunch?
Yeah, let me pack. Yeah. Quickly.
Yeah, I have a key.
Okay. I'll be quick. And I'll turn off the live stream. Whoops.
Can I help you?
Sure.